Have you ever noticed how thinking about a task you have to do can be worse than completing the activity itself? Or how just getting started can be the hardest part of a task? My name is Lauren Hensley, and I'm one of the staff members here at Ohio State's Dentist Learning Center. In part one of our on-demand workshop on time management, we're going to be looking at how to get started. Specifically, we're going to look at different tools and techniques that shorten the amount of time it takes to begin a task, so ultimately you get more out of your time. So why is it so hard to get started? Neuroscience researchers have found that when we think of something we don't want to do, we are activating the same areas of our brain that are associated with detecting threats and experiencing physical pain. So thinking about that paper that you don't want to write or that test you're not really looking forward to studying for is almost as if you are stubbing your toe, touching a hot stovetop, and basically what you want to do is try to stop that negative stimulation by switching to another activity. So all of a sudden, yeah, you could be writing that paper, but watching that other episode on Netflix seems really appealing at the moment. But here's the thing, soon after we start working on that thing that we were avoiding, the neural discomfort disappears. Basically, we find that that task was not as bad as we were anticipating. So here's how you can apply that information. Next time you have something that you're tempted to delay, don't waste your time thinking about how bad it's going to be. Instead, identify what is it that you can start working on. And specifically, ask yourself, what is the very next step I can take? Often we're facing excuses like, I don't have enough time or energy, or just the fact that we're overwhelmed by the size of a task. When we break it down to that very next step, what we do is we give us just enough movement to get unstuck. And from that initial productivity, we get the momentum to keep going. The very next step you have to take is not write my paper. It's more along the lines of write a sentence. Similarly, it's not do my homework, it's solve one problem. That small step is the key. So now it's your turn to try out this idea. Consider one of your upcoming tasks or projects, and then ask yourself, what is the very next step you could take? When you're ready, you can keep moving on with the workshop. Another way to get yourself started is to work in Pomodoros. Pomodoro is the Italian word for tomato, and it refers to a tomato-shaped kitchen timer that you could use to time yourself for about 25 minutes. However, you could use any type of timer you'd like for this technique. With 25 minutes, it's long enough to get something substantial done, but not so long that you're thinking, I don't really want to commit to this. Often, we wait for the pressure of an upcoming deadline to get us going. But what tends to happen is that other things pop up, and all of a sudden that pressure is not very pleasant. When we work in Pomodoros, we are creating that limited time, but it's under our own terms. We have that sense of increased urgency, but it's before the deadline, so we don't run into as many troubles as we would if we waited until the last minute. So here's how you use the Pomodoro technique. First, you identify a specific task you want to work on. You clear your area of distractions, so that means closing your email, shutting down any applications you're not using, and maybe even turning off your phone or putting it in another room. Next, you set your timer for 25 minutes and you work only on that task. When the timer sounds, you step up, you take about a 5-minute break. I think of that 5-minute break along the lines of coming up for air. So you are maybe stretching, taking a walk around the room. If you need to check your texts and respond to them, that's all right. But by switching your focus a little bit, what you're able to do is get back to the next task if you decide to do another Pomodoro with fresh eyes. You're avoiding that mental fatigue so that actually you're getting greater efficiency from each study session as compared to just sitting down for a couple of hours without any break at all, at which point you sort of wear yourself down. You don't really feel like doing anything else. There are a number of tools you can use to make the Pomodoro technique even easier. One that I like to use is Tomato Timer. I have it set up in my settings so that when I open a new tab, it automatically goes to this. And it reminds me, could I be doing a Pomodoro right now? I start my timer, there's automatically an alarm that comes up when I'm done, and it also reminds me to take my breaks and times my breaks so they don't take too long. There are many apps you can use for this as well. Just search your app store using keywords like tomato timer or Pomodoro. The thing is, if you are using your phone, make sure that you are not pulled away with notifications or texts or pulling up different apps when really you should be setting a timer and getting to work. Each person will have different activities that are better or worse suited for Pomodoros. I find that for me, breaking up my writing into those 25-minute chunks really helps because it'd be really intimidating just to look at a blank screen and feel like that's how I'm going to spend my whole afternoon. If you have maybe dense readings or difficult problem sets, this might get you going as well. So now it's your turn. Think about some activities that you could break into Pomodoros and maybe write those ideas down for the future. The final idea I want to share with you is how to bolster your own motivation for getting started. In his book, Smarter, Faster, Better, Charles Duhigg shares that we can do this by seeing the task as part of something bigger and more emotionally rewarding than the immediate task. So yes, you are working on a paper, you're studying for an exam, but what's the bigger picture there? It's really important to see our choices as expressions of our values and goals. So try to transform the way you think of things on your to-do list, not as just things that you have to do or things that you should do, but things that you are choosing to do because they're connected to some aspect of something that is meaningful to you. For instance, how does that task have some sort of future utility or usefulness? Could you use the information in grad school, a future course, or maybe on the job? How about just the fact that having a sense of accomplishment from being productive feels really good? Also consider the fact that you are learning, you're gaining knowledge, you're developing skills and different competencies that are both developing you as a person and helping you in the long run. And then also consider your values. Which of your values are you enacting when you are working hard? Is it responsibility? Is it education? Is it service? When you consider these aspects, your tasks aren't just things that you've got to do, but they're things that have some aspect of motivation in them as well. There's a graduate student I work with in the Dentist Learning Center. Her name is Anna, and she carries out this idea beautifully. When I saw her desk, I said, I have to have a picture of this. And so as you can see, what she has is a Post-it note, and she's written her values on here. So when she sits down at her computer and she's about to work on some project or maybe even just open up some emails that she has to get through, instead of just seeing them as more things to do, instead she's considering, all right, how am I going to be working towards my creativity today? How is this article I'm about to read something that is going to give me multiple perspectives? And so by considering all of these values in her daily work, she tends to find the motivation and get more satisfaction out of the work she's carrying out. To give this idea a try, what you can do is list out all of your major to-dos. Maybe these are things that you have upcoming this week or just activities that you're going to have to work on this semester. After you have that list of to-dos, list out your why. And again, think back to the things related to learning, development, values, goals, accomplishment. How can these be things that you're activating by connecting them to your tasks? So make this list something that is meaningful to you. You're the only one who can state what your values and goals are. And when these are personalized to you, often you're going to find that they're things that you're more likely to be willing just to get started on. Once you've written that down, if you'd like to learn more about time management, go ahead and visit part 2 of our on-demand workshop.